A few nights ago, I was hanging out with a couple of friends. Nothing fancy, just catching up, talking, relaxing. But as the night started winding down, we naturally ended up gathered around the TV, booted up the console, and started passing controllers around to play FIFA. I actually had a good time. There's that obvious hit of dopamine when you pull a clean combination, execute a smooth play, and of course, win the match. But after just one game, I set the controller back down on the table and said something along the lines of, "Yeah, this isn't really for me." My friends turned to me, genuinely curious, and asked, "Honestly, what kind of games do you actually like then?" It sounds like a simple question, but in that moment, I just gave my usual automatic response, partly because it was late, and partly because it's the answer I've been giving myself for years. So I said, "I'm just not really into competitive games." We all have our preferences, right? In my mind, my pitch was simple. I'm a single-player guy. Give me massive open-world exploration, absolute freedom of movement, or a heavily story-driven experience with deeply written characters and genuine emotion. Give me environmental storytelling, a unique art direction, and an immersive ambient soundtrack. Or better yet, give me all of those at once. Competition, rivalry, team tactics, endless grinding to outperform an opponent, that's just not my thing. That was the simple answer, but it was a lie. Take one of the games I've put the most hours into in my entire life, Fortnite. Like millions of people my age, I grew up on it, and I was obsessed with it. On paper, Fortnite ticks every single box of what I claim to dislike. It's competitive, multiplayer focused, aggressive, and requires constant mechanics practice just to stay viable. And I'll admit it. Just like winning that match on FIFA, I love the adrenaline. The late game zones, the spatial awareness and tactical analysis, the tension when a victory royale is within arm's reach, and the simple yet intense feeling of outplaying someone else, it was thrilling. But there was a catch. I only enjoyed it with friends. When I played solo, I never launched a match with the sole intention of grinding ranks, practicing my builds, or sharpening my aim. If I logged in by myself, it was purely for two reasons. First, the social aspect. Meeting after school, laughing on voice chat, messing around on creative maps. And the second, the system itself. Completing the battle pass challenges and daily quests, and unlocking every skin possible. So I could easily brush Fortnite aside as an exception, and I could double down on my premise. I'm just a casual player. I like chill games. I don't really care about pushing my limits. Except that's not true either. I lied to myself. I actually love pushing my limits. I love optimizing, I love improving, and I love winning. Just not in the way most people think. Look at two of my absolute favorite games, Elden Ring and Silksong. Sure, they offer vast, breathtaking world with mind-blowing level design, beautiful soundtracks, and incredible atmospheres. On the surface, you could file them under chill solo adventure, right alongside Zelda Breath of the Wild or Subnautica, two others of my favorite games. But that's a complete misreading of what those games actually demand from you. When you stand in front of a boss in Elden Ring or Silksong, you're locked into a pure 1v1 duel. There's an intense, direct rivalry there. You are forced to analyze mechanics, decode attack patterns, memorize winds-up, and execute reactions that sometimes require frame-perfect precision. You fail, you adjust your timing by a fraction of a second, you learn the exact window for a single attack, and you go back in, again and again. It's a grueling, repetitive process of pure trial and error, and yet, the feeling of finally mastering that fight, of turning a chaotic, overwhelming boss into a dance you control completely, delivers a level of satisfaction that rivals any tournament victory in a multiplayer game. No, you could tell yourself, and honestly for a long time, I cannot tell myself the exact same thing, that I only love these games despite that difficulty. That the mechanical friction, the endless retries, and the competitive drive were just things that I managed to tolerate because the world, the story, and the atmospheres were too good to pass up. But that argument completely falls apart the second you look at another one of my favorite games, Geometry Dash. Geometry Dash strips away all those excuses. There's no narrative to cushion the blow, no sweeping landscapes, no characters' arcs, no hidden lore. It is pure, raw performance. It's a game where I've spent countless hours in practice mode, endlessly retrying the exact same section of a level hundreds, sometimes thousands of times. forcing myself to memorize precise jump inputs, internalizing the strict physics of the cube or the wave, and syncing my muscle memory completely with the visual rhythm of the screen. It is an obstacle course in the most absolute, uncompromising form. I didn't play it for the scenery, I played it for the challenge. And this is where the paradox becomes impossible to ignore. I am completely willing to sit alone for hours, subjecting myself to relentless repetition and frame-perfect discipline just to clear a single level or defeat a digital boss, but the second you place another human being on the other side of that screen, the entire equation changes. But why do I feel this way? Why is that for me, the exact same process, analyzing mechanics, failing repeatedly, adjusting execution, and achieving victory, feels deeply satisfying against a machine, but completely unappealing against another human being? Do I fear having my ego shredded if I lose to a real person? Do I fear disappointing my teammates? Or even my opponent? By giving them a fight that wasn't worth playing or was just plain boring? Maybe. Maybe it is that simple. It has always been pretty similar when I approach sports in real life. It was never about a lack of effort or not wanting to sweat. I was just repelled by the social gaze. The fear of being the weak link, disappointing my teammates, or just feeling completely out of place. But come on, that's purely emotional. All those feelings are changeable. With a bit of self-improvement, you can learn to face apprehension, stop caring about what others think, and just be proud that you tried. And I did. I am certainly not as weak-minded as I once was. And yet, even after working on myself, I still prefer brutal competition against a machine over a real player. So maybe it goes deeper than just anxiety. It comes down to a fundamental mindset, a way of processing effort that you can't really change. As I said before, I've never really been a sports guy, but that doesn't mean I spend all my free time glued to a screen. One physical discipline actually managed to hit me, and damn well it did: weightlifting. When I first started going to the gym, I didn't have massive athletic ambitions. I literally just wanted to be able to do push-ups and have abs. But once I built that baseline, something clicked. It turned into a genuine drive for performance, tracking numbers, and optimization. It was the exact same shift when I first launched Silksong or Elden Ring. I initially loaded them up thinking I was just playing a neat, stylish action game, but ended up grinding for hours, sweating over controller's input, optimizing every single movement, and coming up with actual frame-by-frame strategies. Why? Because both experiences tap into the exact same mechanics. When you step up to a barbell or face a single-player boss, the instruction manual is simple and straightforward, but executing it demands genuine, intense effort. The satisfaction comes from that exact contrast, overcoming a clear, uncompromised rulebook through sheer discipline and watching your own tangible progression over time. You get the pure hit of achievement without ever having to compare yourself to anyone else, without feeling like the burden of a team, and without having to manage the noise of a real opponent. It is a pure, closed feedback loop of self-mastery. So, when my friend asked me that night around the TV what kind of games I actually like, my automatic answer was wrong. Saying, "I'm just not into competitive games" was a lazy oversimplification. At the end of the day, it just comes down to what kind of personality you have and how you choose to process effort. Some people thrive on measuring their ego against others. They need the social stakes, the rivalries, and the shared adrenaline of a multiplayer arena to feel like the win actually matters. And then there's people like me. I'm competitive, I love pushing my limits, I love optimizing under strict constraint, and I love winning. But I prefer doing it in a clean environment, comparing myself to who I was yesterday, mastering a system's logic, and testing my discipline against an unyielding set of rules rather than pitting my ego against another human being. I didn't hate FIFA because I hate competing. I just prefer my competitions to happen on my own terms.